Hi there. On weekends, we do reruns so that yours truly can take a couple days off. Look for a fresh new episode on Monday. Meanwhile, please enjoy this episode for this day from a previous year. I thank you so much for your indulgence and loyalty, and have a great weekend. As you can see, I'm live today. I typically prepare these episodes the day before they air, and yesterday was busy with appointments and errands, and I wasn't able to record or edit, so here we are. Let's see here. Yep, I'll put some links up to some previous year's episodes up in whatever corner it is, up in the iCards for YouTube once we're done. And they'll be in the description for BitChute and Rumble. Alrighty, on with today's episode. Hi there, and welcome to this day in history for March 24th. March 24th is the 83rd day of the year in the Gregorian calendar, 84th in leap years, with 282 days remaining to the end of the year. March 24th is also Mr. Bowers' birthday, so happy birthday, Mr. Bowers. I won't tell you how old he is, just that he's older than me. Now, I thought there might be something else I could see here, but I'm not seeing it, so back to today's material. Today's word is obdurate. Obdurate. Obdurate, obdurate. Obdurate is an adjective that has a few kind of related meanings, from stubbornly persistent in wrongdoing, such as an obdurate sinner, or hardened in feelings, such as an obdurate enemy, or resistant to persuasion or softening. Resistant to persuasion or softening influence, as in, we all admired his obdurate refusal to give up. The word obdurate is really just kind of a nice word for stubborn, and it comes to us from Middle English, Latin before that. First known use of the word obdurate is in the 1400s, obdurate. And with that, we're going to start in 1199. Centuries ago, kings personally led their armies into battle, and on March 24th in the year 1199, King Richard I of England was wounded by a crossbow bolt while fighting in France. Unfortunately, this injury will prove fatal in the next couple weeks. We may or may not mention it at that time. Depends on whether I remember to or not. On March 25th, 1765, the British Parliament passed the Quartering Act. Britain had decided that the American colonies needed military support, but the Quartering Act dictated that the Americans had to arrange for the lodging and upkeep of these British soldiers. Kind of a, we're going to send you all these guys, but you have to make arrangements to support them. And the colonists didn't like that very much. Turned out to be a very unpopular situation, a real point of contention between the American colonists and Britain. For one thing, the colonists didn't feel that they needed all that military support from Britain in the first place, and they resented having to support them. So that was the Quartering Act. This is the birthday of American actor, producer, and automobile racer Steve McQueen, born March 24th, 1930. I'm trying to get my material up here where I can see it, but still kind of maybe hopefully see a little bit of what's going on out there in YouTube land. All right. Steve McQueen, born March 24th, 1930. Times were difficult for his family of origin, and the Great Depression only compounded those difficulties. He ended up being raised by his grandparents, and his great-uncle Claude gave him a red tricycle on his 4th birthday. He would later say that this sparked his interest in car racing. I never got into car racing, but I got a tricycle when I was young like that, and I could see his point. Steve McQueen began to study acting in 1952 and was in some 30-plus movies and over a dozen television shows over the course of his acting career. He also raced cars, sometimes under an assumed name. Sadly, Steve McQueen developed mesothelioma. You hear that word on TV commercials all the time, and I said it perfectly last night. Let's try it again. Sadly, Steve McQueen developed mesothelioma, most likely from exposure to the asbestos in his fire-resistant driving suit. Steve McQueen died in 1980 at the age of 50. Back in 1917, once the United States had joined what came to be known as World War I, Congress passed the Selective Service Act, and this gave the president the power to require young men to register for military conscription. The initial draft was discontinued in 1920, and the draft has been alternately revived, discontinued several times to cover the needs of the military for World Wars I and II, the Korean War, and the Vietnam War. The one of interest to us today is during the time of the Korean War, when the Selective Service Act of 1948 required all men aged 18 and older to register, and men between the ages of 18 and 25 were eligible to be drafted for a specified period of time of military duty. All that to say that when Elvis Presley turned 18, he registered with the Selective Service system as required. He had become famous by the time he was called to service at the age of 23 in 1958, and on March 24th, 1958, Elvis Presley was inducted into the United States Army. He looked fabulous, as always, and appeared to take the event in stride. His mother, on the other hand, not so much. The same mother who bought her son a guitar on his 8th birthday rather than the bicycle or rifle he wanted, because a guitar was a lot safer than a rifle or a bicycle, she was now sending her only child off to the Army, and to say that she was not happy about it is putting it mildly. Turns out she was also ill and wouldn't live another 6 months herself. But today we're talking about Elvis, who was inducted into the Army on March 24th, 1958 at the age of 23. Today's song is Love Train by the O'Jays, written by Kenny Gamble and Leon Huff. Released in December of 1972, Love Train was the O'Jays' first and only #1 record in the U.S. pop charts. Interestingly, Love Train is considered to be one of the first songs of disco music. It's been covered by several artists, has been featured both in its original form and in covers, in live performances and recordings, and in movies. Love Train by the O'Jays, #1, March 24th, 1973. Link in the description. And that's all I have for you today. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you tomorrow. And now I'm going to close this script and see if I can see anything about what's going on over on YouTube before we close this episode. Some way, there's a way. It says, thank you for the likes. Thank you for the likes. I see a couple of eyes. That means 2 people are watching, and likes. Thank you so much. This wasn't too awful, I think. I'll watch it again after I stop and see if it was more awful than I think. Lives are fun, but it's a little bit like a high wire act without a net for me. Anyway, hopefully I'll have time to properly edit one for tomorrow. Thank you so much, and I'll see you next time. Now we look for the thank you very much button. Have a beautiful day.